Alrighty guys, on this episode of Trash Talk, episode number 2, we have Loren Lapierre of Colton, New York. He's going to be discussing, what he likes about the business, how he got into the business, about how long he's been in business, what he runs for equipment now, and when they did downsize and do the selling off of their residential routes, what that really meant to him and his family and where he's at and his goals going forward. So hope you guys enjoy. If you like the content, like and subscribe. Let's get into it. So, Loren, about how long ago did you get into the trash removal business?
I started in it in 1997 when I was 21 years old.
And what made you want to become a garbage or a dumpster man?
Well, at the time, my father had a buddy, and he just had a couple one-ton trucks and about 200 customers. We took that over from him, bought his stuff, his route, and that's where it all began. Nice. So it was kind of a family business from the get-go then? Yep, a little bit for a few years, and then my father didn't want to remain around long once I started to grow it and whatnot. So.
Okay. And over the years, how long was it until you were able to hire that first employee that wasn't a family member?
Probably, I think it was 2003, I bought my first Packer truck, coat collector, and it was shortly after that I was kind of running wild in between doing roll-off containers and finishing my route. So around the 04 time was the first driver.
Okay. And from the get-go, you had the couple hundred residentials. Did you go into rear load first or roll-off dumpsters first when you decided to expand into other services?
Well, we expanded the residential part of it quite a bit and started to get some more commercial accounts, still servicing them with one-ton trucks. And then, in the early days, I bought an electric over hydraulic roll-off trailer with 3 10-yard dumpsters. That was my first roll-off experience. Outgrew that real fast and then bought a larger setup and had 4 15 yards and 3 10 yards. That was still a trailer setup for a truck.
Nice. And you say when you outgrew the roll-off setup, because a lot of people that tune into the channel, obviously right now I'm still running the trailers, and I've got a lot of guys looking to start up in the business, and they always ask me, do I go with a truck or a trailer? I think it kind of comes down to capital, right? And it also comes down to what are your mechanical abilities and what's your market look like. When did you know that it was time to graduate from the trailer to, a big truck like we see behind us here?
We started to, first of all, I started to make money.
Good thing.
And getting into some heavier work as well, I was able to justify, grabbing a larger truck so we could run some 20-yard dumpsters. We were also still using the roll-off trailer, and we made the containers versatile to use on the hook truck and on the roll-off trailer. So we kept that system.
That's awesome, double using the equipment. And guys,
Correct.
Like I've said before, with my unit, my PJ roll-off trailer, and I don't know what brand you had, but they make a standard rail that is non-PJ. If you are going to do this long-term, don't make the mistake that I did of buying a specific rail, I guess you would say patented rail width from PJ. Yes, if you're a good welder fabricator or you know one, you can chop, cut, rebuild them to be whatever you want, but I don't really recommend getting into that. Loren's way of going with more of a standard trailer that they could do their own modifications, slight, I would assume.
Fairly slight.
To make them work on a truck like you see behind us here is going to save you a lot of money and probably some headaches in the long run. Now, speaking of headaches, over the last, we'll call it, how many years has it been total? 20?
Yeah, 24 years.
24 years. What are some of the biggest challenges that you could, shed some light on for anybody looking to get into this business from the ground level?
From the ground level, right now things are really expensive. Just getting back into this in 2021, prices are scary on dumpsters and trucks. Bad timing for dumpsters with steel prices, but we worked through that. But I think the biggest cost is your equipment. That's the biggest challenge, and I really struggled with in the early days. Like I'd said, 05 area, we started to buy some older Packers, older trucks, and I had motor problems. Trucks broke, and then I had all this work and I couldn't get it done. We'd get it done, but it was that's stressful. That's a growing pain. That's, I think, inevitable for any new person. You just work through it, and there's daylight at the end of the tunnel.
In hindsight, if you had a crystal ball and you would have known the work would have been there, would you have gone with a newer truck sooner in your business life at that time, or was it still not financially comfortable to do that at that time?
I think I would have figured that out because the repairs, downtime, stress, you know, if you could get the credit and you could borrow the, say, 150,000 instead of the 50,000,
Yep.
I think that's the way to go. But you have to be careful because you know how that goes. If you're not covering that, or if you're having a bad winter, you know,
Yep.
you got to make the payment in the winter too.
Yep, exactly. And what he means by that, guys, is you know, say a truck like this behind us, I would assume this was around $130, $140.
Yeah, about $125.
So what he's talking about in the winter, guys, is if you are doing dumpster rentals and you're in, I know some of you watch from, you know, markets where you don't really see snow, that might not apply to you. But if you're on the East Coast like we are, or anywhere that receives snow 3 to 5 months out of the year like us, your revenue can drastically drop. And that's where if you have a $1,500 or $2,000 a month payment, if you don't have a lot of capital to put down, even if you had good credit, you still got to make that. So if your residential is kind of weaker and your dumpsters are your main bread and butter throughout the summer, just make sure you're putting away enough cash that you can make those payments in the down months is what he means. And that could go for any business in general, but specifically in the dumpster business, because it's so cash intensive to get into, especially right now. For example, I don't know, you've been buying dumpsters. A roll-off dumpster from PJ at the local dealership where I just bought mine last year, where I was paying about $4,000, is now $5,500.
Yes.
That's for their just under 15 yard size guys, and that's probably marked up, I would say, about 5% because, you know, PJ does that. But like Loren, I would assume you can get dumpsters anywhere that are standard rail because of the equipment you have. And can you tell us a little about this truck here?
This truck is a 2020 Pete. It's got a 325 PACCAR motor, which is basically a Cummins stamped PACCAR. It's got a Stellar hook hoist, which is 16,000 pounds. And yeah, 325 horse, as I said. And it's beefy enough to do everything I need to do with the 15-yarders. You can pull a box full of shingles to a box that's full of somebody's debris from a garage. So.
Yep. And guys, we'll give you some walk-around shots of the truck. So like he said, guys, stellar lift on this bad boy. This is pretty much like my dream truck that we're looking at here. Where did you get this, Loren? Where did this one come from?
This came from Hunter Peterbilt in Pennsylvania, Lancaster, PA.
Okay, so this one's out of PA for any of you East Coast guys. No tarper. Do you tarp them on the ground?
I do. I will be putting a tarper on for next season.
Okay, so yeah, guys, so he'll have a auto tarper is what that is, and they typically run about what, 7,000-ish.
Right on. Yep.
Okay, so 7,000 with the market, guys. You know it could go up, but beautiful truck, awesome truck. 337 chassis, you said? Yeah. Yep. So it's definitely an awesome truck. If I'm not mistaken, you can get these in 26,000 and 33,000 GVW specs.
This is a 26.
26, guys. So under CDL, still super powerful truck. I don't think you'll ever. I mean, if you have 10 ton and a 15.
The axles actually on this are 30. They total 31,000.
So yeah, guys. So it's an overbuilt truck, and they do this a lot in this chassis, if you will. They overbuild it, and just a beast. It's pretty much the Swiss Army knife of under CDL chassis for hook lifts. I mean, this is about as badass as it gets. So wanted to give you a little walk around that, and one more pan of the yard here. He's got a couple dumpsters here, a few of them out, and we didn't mention, but this was the original. This was the original shop right here, guys. So that video in the beginning was doing a tour of the office and stuff, and he's got some dumpster work going on in here, but you can imagine the amount of trash trucks that were moving through here back in the day.
It was a busy spot.
So going back to the last couple of years, because how many years has it been since you did residential full-time?
It was 10 years this spring since I had sold out to Casella.
Since you had sold out. Okay, so
2011 we sold, and I went to work for them at that point.
okay, so back to 2011, at the peak of the chaos, how many accounts and dumpsters, what was the peak of the stress
Sure.
for you?
Well, we had 4 drivers at all times, including me, usually in a roll-off truck part-time and helping in the office. But we had 5 trucks, 3 rear load packers, actually 6 trucks. We had one 1-ton dump that was still in there for a backup residential. I had a tandem Pete roll-off, and I had a Kenworth hook lift truck. And
Okay.
that was, at that point, we were running close to 500 dumpsters a year. 30, anywhere from 10 to 30 yards and whatever's in between. We were running about 300 commercial accounts with the rear load packers, including doing cardboard and their trash. So you had to visit them twice, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever was required. And we were also running close to 1,000 residential at that time.
Wow.
So, grossing somewhere in that 750 to 800 ballpark. It was busy.
That's a lot of business being done. And guys, I know a lot of you that do follow the channel are probably from some rural areas like we are. Do you know over that, we'll call it 1,300 addresses that you were responsible for in a week, how many miles you have to put on your vehicles, on your trucks?
Probably the most miles was going with the commercial load, because we had to take it to the Rodman landfill. That is about a 4-hour round trip. So I'm just gonna say that truck would see 500 to 600 miles with the route and getting dumped.
Wow, every week.
Every week. The residential truck would come back here because we were doing a transfer station here for our smaller stuff.
Okay.
Which was handy. That was going into 30-yard dumpsters at that ramp that's here on site.
I see. Yeah, and guys, that shows you some efficiency things that as you become a bigger business, you tend to have access to or find out how to manufacture, if you will. What he means by a transfer station, guys, if if this is your first video and you're looking to get into any sort of garbage removal, is in cities, even in small towns where there's not an actual landfill, there will be a transfer site where the trucks will come and dump and then actually get put into another truck, typically to hold more than what the truck held, to go to a actual landfill. And all that is basically doing is you're consolidating landfill trips to save yourself, labor, fuel, all those good things, time. And it takes being at a level like Loren was to make sense of that. If you've got 100 or 200 accounts, you're really not going to even need to be looking into those sort of things. But I'm glad you brought that up, because that was something I haven't ever mentioned before on the channel, is having your own transfer station. I know that a lot of bigger companies, regardless of where you are in the country, you can look into doing that. So nowadays, what's the lay of the land now for you?
Well, I think I'll kind of reverse gears. The Casella days, I worked there for a few years, didn't love that, had entered the rental business at a pretty good clip. And then at some point Casella wanted to renew my non-compete, because we were going to get fired up about 5 years ago, and they slowed that down. So most recent, I was offered the head position at Casella, the division manager for up here, and I declined that to do. I already started this project.
Okay.
The new roll-offs.
Yep.
So I think now is I'm going to stick with my rental business, and I'd like to run somewhere around the 300 hook box operation per year, which I think we'll get there within a couple of years.
Okay.
And that's
Yeah.
my goal.
That was me. That was my mistake, guys, on the video. And of course, this is only episode 2 of this, so typically I'm interviewing myself, right? I'm not interviewing others, so that's my own mistake. I did completely jump over the transition from going from all of that chaos to the sale to the Casella position. Could you spend like 60 seconds in a knot of how all of it kind of happened?
How it came together.
Yeah.
It was definitely a stressful time to sell. I was 35, in a good place, but when you see all your stuff go to another place, it is definitely chaos, and it's kind of traumatic. All your trucks are gone, everything's gone, the yard's empty. It's surreal. So, but that time was tough working for them. We lost a lot of customers. to competitors. That hurt, and there was really no love with a lot of people anymore. You know, they were just gone. That was it. They were almost mad at me because, and that was tough. But going along with Casella after that seemed kind of chaotic too. Called it organized chaos. Very busy operation, but paid well, and took good care of me. But decided to step away after a few years. Wasn't my thing.
Yep, and you don't need to go into specifics, but people would like to know, when they do buy you, is it on a revenue times months basis, or was it on a gross basis?
I negotiated on a gross basis. The way they wanted to do it was they wanted to have some holdback, which meant they would account for the lost customers over a period of, I think it was 4 months.
Okay.
I said no way, because I knew we were going to lose some customers. It's just the way it is.
Yep.
It's going to be the way it is in any market, anywhere. So no, this was a gross basis, paid me lump sum at the gate, and then I financed. They paid me overtime for some of the money,
okay,
which I agreed to and said that was fine, with
yep.
some interest, and worked out well.
Awesome. Well, guys, there you have it. Lapierre Waste Management. Loren, you have a Facebook page, right?
I
If they
do.
do want to check you out on Facebook.
It's just my private page. But.
Okay, he is on Facebook, guys, hopefully we'll do another interview down the road when he's at those 300 dumpsters a year and he's not too chaotic again.
That's right.
But Loren has already taught me a lot, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. Just from our few phone conversations, he's pointing me in the right direction, guys. So hopefully this brings some value to all you guys out there. And thanks, Loren.
Yeah,
appreciate it, man.
Wish you well.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys, and if you guys like the content, as always, like and subscribe to the channel. If you want to check out one of those coaching calls that we mentioned, it will be in the description below. It's going to be a Calendly LC sanitation link. You guys have a good one, and we'll see you in the next video.